Hello, welcome back to Minetrek.net game server. Over here on the Enterprise D, quite a bit's been done. It's still quite a bit left to do, but anyways, deck 1, deck 2, deck 3, deck 4, and well, deck 1 through 4 is in the ship. Deck 5's over there on the stack, ready to go in the ship as soon as we get done fleshing some stuff out. Anyways, the guys have been working on this hangar area here, which is deck 4. I believe Mad Squirrel, I Panic, D-Bomb, a little bit of M-Heller, a little bit of Blue Phobes. And they're doing a pretty good job, but there's so many different competing styles that we want to go with that we're butting we're butting heads with each other. So I'm leaving the hangar to the guys that want to design it. I think that's Mad Squirrel and I Panic, and they're going to go with something they found on YouTube based off of a really cool video. If I have it, I'll put the link into the description. Y'all can watch it. But anywho, as you can see here, you come into the main hangar and got this nice little area here all outlined. Little delta there, enterprise, whatever you want to call that. Got all this stuff through here with the shuttle parking. This is for like work bee parking and stuff. And if you come down through here, you can see how it's all kind of lined up. I don't know what the yellow or the orange part is. But anyways, this is a slight departure from the Ed Whitefire plans in that originally this skybridge wasn't here. We went ahead, the skybridge normally would be here, and I didn't like the placement because to me it just looked kind of funky. So what we did is Panic suggested first Em would suggest that we go ahead and put the skybridge in, and then Panic said, well, why don't we move it forward here to the middle of the hangar and kind of have it like a overhang of the hangar. I don't know how they're going to tie it into the ceiling, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. But originally, after I decided not to do the Whitefire crossover right there, I routed the turbo lifts up and then along this path here all the way over. Well, with the skybridge here, this part became, redundant. It just didn't need it. So what I did is I went ahead and pulled it out, and I just routed a corridor right along here. And of course, it's only single thick, so it'll have windows that can view out into the cargo bay here, all the way out to here, then all the way up into the turbo lift here, and then across into the feeder corridor. And that one's down there. That one feeds down there, so we're fine. Anyways, as far as crew quarters and stuff go, all this blue area here is crew quarters, but we need the placement of the windows before we can actually do any interior work. Same thing with this area here. The only reason it's raised is because I didn't want to alter the stuff that was down here. So that's why I put it up on this platform, and then I added this as an outline to it. So if we don't want the crew quarters, which is fine, we just have to lower this section. If we want the crew quarters to lower it in, then lower the section. It's all in one pattern. But anyways, I want kind of like this with a stair-stepping pattern. I'm not really sure how large to go with these crew quarters, especially on the D, because the plans have these really huge crew quarters. I mean, gargantuan. I mean, you can fit 30 people in one of them. Then on the Steinbach plans, they're a little bit smaller, a little bit more, appropriate to the size of the ship. These are fairly appropriate to the size of the ship. You got a large living space, you got a large room and bathroom, and this right here actually should be filled in. Excuse me. This would be like a something Jeffrey Stube, not Jeffrey Stube, but crawl space or whatever. But anyways, and in areas where I try to stair step them, like as you can see here, this room has its bathroom and bedroom back there. This one has them here and here. And in areas where I couldn't do that, I made them dual crew quarters. So, or try to anyways. See, some of these will have a little bit larger living space because of the fact of the shape of the curvature and stuff. I mean, that can be changed. I mean, we do something like this. That gives that a little bit more room on that end and so forth. And you can see how it is. Yeah, it's kind of a basic pattern, and as we get to these junctions, we kind of do something with them and try to do our best. On this one here, it could either be a lounge or it could be a crew quarter, bathroom, or bedroom, bathroom, living space, this stuff. Or it could be a lounge, whatever we decide to do with it. It's universal. Did have a little bit of a snafu. When I set up the lines for the turbo lifts, you can see how it kind of does that stair stepping thing. And basically the idea is you have a block, and the block has to move like so, all the way down through here like a cube. So basically if this was a cube, you would want it to slide on down through here without getting hung up on any corners and whatnot. Well, sometimes as we're tweaking things, these patterns here, they get, like something like this will happen. We can't have that, so we have to avoid that at all costs. So I spent a lot of time routing the turbo lifts to make sure that the pathing is as close or as accurate as I can. Of course, I'm only human, I'm going to make mistakes. But a couple of times I've come on and the pattern's been changed. Something's been moved, something's been adjusted, tweaked. And you saw that in one of my other videos where I kind of had a bit of a fit regarding that. So, but it keeps happening, and the new rule is nobody touches anybody else's work unless they're online and they give approval. Otherwise, copy it out and do your alterations outside of the build so that it doesn't affect the build or the area that people are working in. We got a lot of really talented people, and when people get frustrated, it's a shame because that means we might lose talent, and we can't afford to lose talent when we're building these big builds like this. So, courtesy, common courtesy. Don't destroy somebody else's work, and don't alter it unless you have their express approval. And if they say wait 24 hours or whatever because they don't have time to work on it, you wait. You don't go into it. So, hopefully, we can avoid any future issues, but like I said when this project started, people's nerves are going to get frayed. It is a rather large build. So, anyways, this conning tower has gone through a bit of a modification. This again is the Ed Whitefire version. And if the recording stops, it's probably because I'm getting an OpenGL crash again. I don't know what causes it, but something's been causing that quite a bit. But yeah, they just modified it slightly for this so that we have a parking area there. Also added in a bunch of catwalks. Or not catwalks, but gangways that aren't actually in the deck plans. I just wanted to have them in because it seemed like a smart thing to do. So you can get around the ship without getting too, lost. Anyways, I'll show you the area that Blue and I have been working on here. Up here, I think this is deck 2. I'm going to call it deck 2. But we've been putting the walls and stuff in through here to try and get a feel for the area, get a feel for the build, all that stuff. And it's going pretty good. Blue's over there, he's on AFK right now. Burrito hunt, I believe. Breakfast burrito hunt. But yeah, again, this is just tentative. That's why it's all magenta for the doors and stuff. That way there, when the windows are placed, if we have to adjust the rooms, we can adjust the rooms. So again, on the Enterprise D, the windows will dictate where the rooms go, so can't really put in permanent crew quarters yet. And I'll show you what M. Heller did here real quick. We'll buzz on out here. She went ahead and recontoured the bridge module and put windows in. As you can see, all the way around it. Looks pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. And what Blue and I did, because some of the areas of this module are kind of narrow along the edges where the windows are. For example, this room here it's large enough that you don't need it, and you could do what you need to do. You can have a little cove here or whatever. But this area here, when the wall's up, there's very little room in here, so we just pulled the wall out and just put like a little lounge here, and same thing on the other side. Now this one has a little bit more room, has 2 blocks instead of 1 block, so we just put a couple of chairs. Again, this room could be, redesigned. Again, it's just something, trying to fill it out, trying to come up with ideas. And up here, I think this is going to be a lounge. I'm pretty sure this might be a lounge. So, and the same thing on the other side. It might become a lounge. But again, the stairwell goes all the way down. All the way on down. Until it branches off to another section of the ship. Okay, that's pretty much it for as far as that stuff goes. Again, the deck stack itself, we just got done doing deck 5, and it's a very large, not a large deck, but it's a big deck. And if it's anything like what we're going to be running into for the rest of the ship, it's going to be a furball to do. One other thing, getting a lot of this space in here, um, this dead space, this too high dead space, and I'm right now what I'm doing is I'm not doing anything through here because if this has to become like if there's a window here, you know, uh, what's it going to be into? You know, it can't really be used for the deck below it because it's going to be this. So if this is a too high crawl space, and that means these rather large, you know, blue section here will have to be modified. And I'm actually half tempted to run a corridor right here along the front here, or at least cut this thing in half because it is really large. And I mean, if you're going to do crew quarters in here, they're going to be, again, huge crew quarters. So, yeah, I want to break this up. I might run the corridor down here like this and then run it along this seam here. Then I don't know what this is for. So if this actually going to have windows and stuff in it, then it means it has to be used for something. It sure as hell can't be used for crew quarters. Too short. And we've already dropped this deck down. So, and there's no way I can drop it down anymore because if I did, I would actually affect the hangar area down here, and I don't want to affect that. So, yeah. But if push comes to shove, I'm sure we could drop this ring here down by one block. It would just be one of those step downs. We do that a lot with, well, not a lot, but we've done that before with builds, mainly with the Excelsior and the Enterprise B. We have to actually step down because, and even with the Centaur, it's just the way the hull is shaped. It doesn't let us, you know, utilize the space we need to utilize. CU. All right. Blue and I spent some time and we got these things here dialed in. This pattern's actually incorrect. It's more like this now. I shall show you here real quick. Wrong color. Get the right one. There we go. The pattern's this, because these are 7x7 escape lifeboats. So basically the lifeboat itself sits right in here, and this black part up here, if I can get up there without dropping, is just an outline of the actual lifeboat, and these are going to be what we call siloed. These are the escape pod silos. So there's going to be an escape pod here, and another one's going to be right here. So it's going to basically be sitting right on top of the other escape pod. That way there we can get the escape pod in and fitted. Go ahead and knock out these blocks here. So it took a little bit of effort to get them, but we have wiggle room when we do these. There's a lot of space, as you can see. Whoops, as you can see through here, there's a lot of space. So I wanted to keep this kind of like this pattern here. Because we got the space, we don't have to worry about, you know, constraints and stuff. I wanted to keep this pattern kind of like a nice little indent, divot into it kind of a thing. Gives it kind of a nice feel. Kind of like what we did down here. See how it looks down here? That's kind of what I want to keep up here as well. But, yeah, this deck here, this is deck 5. Did a lot of reworking on it as well. Originally mocked it up to be just like the Ed White plans. Then I realized I really didn't like the Ed White plans because the Jeffries tubes would be like right here, and you wouldn't be able to access anything on this side because this is actually broken into several different rooms. And you couldn't access anything. It was just, deck 5 on the Whitefire plans was just not really well laid out. Now the Steinbach plans was far more laid out, but it's, you know, overly complicated, is to say the least. So what I did is I took the turbo lift, took the Jeffries tube, which was broken up by several different hallways and designs and things like that. Anyways, I moved it forward to right behind the phaser strip. Now the phaser strip's plenty high enough. We can put our equipment under here, and we don't need that much room back here because we already know what the phaser strip's going to look like. It's going to be something like this. You know, just a reverse pattern or a pattern similar to this that we use for all the builds now. So, and you can come out even further, you know, something like that. So that'll be the main phaser, and it'll come down through here like this, and connect. And this will all be lifted off so we can actually put the circuitry and stuff that we want under it. But that'll be like, this will be like the phaser, and it could even be more like this. Actually, that looks better. And this will be like red, gray, and green all through here, and then all the way around. So figured, what the hell, you know, move the Jeffries tube and put it right here. And then we have a Jeffries tube that goes the entire perimeter of the outer hull of the ship on deck 5, and then you have this corridor right here, and this may be double walled because I don't know if we're going with a pattern, you know, a specific pattern from interior rooms, as well as, well, obviously we are for the corridors. We have a pattern for the corridors, but I'm not sure about the interior spaces. Again, this is one of those you got to be careful. But comes like this. If that was like this, you see how it couldn't get through there. So yeah, so basically do it like this. See? And same thing on this side here. Now, a lot of the ship, especially with this oval shape, this was one of the areas that was tweaked. Somebody came along and shifted this to make it look more aesthetically pleasing. You'll never see this, ever. Once the walls are up, the only thing you're going to see are these walls. And granted, I too would like to have a bit more of a curve right here, but really the hull itself doesn't lend itself for that purpose. Now we could follow this pattern here, so we may actually modify this section through here. I might look at that later on to see if I can get more of a bend so that it's more in line with this corridor. But yeah, I probably could do that, no problem. It'd just be a little tweaking. But if I do that, then I have to go, if I modify this, then I have to make sure it doesn't affect the again, you can see right here. See how narrow it gets right there? Okay, that's not supposed to be that narrow. So that's one of those, it was an aesthetic change that was made that got to be really careful of those. Got to be very careful of those. But like I said, I can try and curve this in a little bit more and things like that. Play with it a little bit more, since this is the finalized deck, so we can play with it a little bit, not too much. But anything we do with this, I would like to copy out and set aside. Don't change the one that's on the stack, because that's the original, but set this over there next to it or whatever, so that we have it as a backup in case something gets screwy. Inside of here, where it's black and stuff behind all these escape pods, this will be lifeboat power systems, so, or backup systems for the lifeboats, things like that. So we got space for those. We got the lifeboats here. And what else did I do with this? Of course, this was broken into like 2 different parts. Again, this was like a Jeffries tube going through here, and it just really didn't seem like it was a good idea. I'm thinking about possibly running the corridor on this side of it as well, coming down through here. But it depends on what this actually is through here. I'm not sure, because the Wi-Fi plans call for like several different things through there. And if I decide to run a corridor on this side, all the way through here like this, which is something I might actually do anyways, because I think it's a good idea to do it. It helps break up the space, but it's also nice to have these big open spaces, but then you got to fill them with stuff, and I don't like filling these big open spaces. And granted, I could easily just, you know, split them up like this, which is what we'll probably end up doing. So this will be one side, and this will be the other side, you know, with a wall going down through the center and stuff. Alright, see if we can get through here without getting an OpenGL crash so I can wrap up this video. Fly through here. Again, the guys have modified this hangar since the original was put in, and which is great because that's what we want to do. We want to get it in, make it look good, modify it. Anyways, I added this corridor here, and then I wrapped it around here, and it goes back along here, and then I added this gangway here up into this area here. And of course, we have the gangway that goes up here to this deck, and then the sky bridge itself. So, which is all new. And then it comes around to the turbo lift, which is what Panic added. So, then we have this. And what I did also, in order to utilize the space a little bit better, is I put a corridor right along here that comes back through here. So beforehand this was just two big cargo areas, and you know, they're just too big for their own good, that kind of a thing. So we decided to make them a little bit smaller. And then you got this big one right here as well. So big 3, 4, 5, 6 story one that goes right here. It's pretty big. I mean, we could even, if we really wanted to, close this upper part off, or close this section here off and then just have it in here, then have this one, you know. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. Also, trying to make sure that we path out Jeffrey's tubes, so all the Jeffrey's tubes interlock and let's get out of there. Screw that, and are all connected. One final thing here, we did go ahead and do a tentative mock-up on this area. Again, this is reserved for Imheller. She wants to do something in here, so I just put up these placeholder walls, which are different than the actual wall design we're going with, so Jeffrey's tubes. But quick run through here. Again, this right here is the command module, the bridge module, and it leaves the ship. All of this area here is exposed to space, with the exception of the inside here. This area here won't be exposed to space, although it will be airlocked. So, well, technically it is exposed to space because this is all Jeffrey's tubes and stuff. So this might actually be walled off as well, but I don't know yet. Don't know what M has planned for it, so we will see. But or this could actually, well, you can't because this is actually the bottom of the ship itself, the module itself. So we can't, you know, double wall it because then you wouldn't be able to get through here. These are just tentative equipment placements: batteries, auxiliary life support, more batteries. Not sure. Shield and SIF nodes, probably distribution nodes. These are clamps, as you can see. This is what holds the bridge module on, and then the bridge module has a little thruster right here. And if you go upstairs, you'll see the thruster. Actually, let's go ahead and do that. Let me grab the compass here real quick and show you this. If I can get up there and find a good spot and not get lost. Ooh, perfect. Alright, as you come in here, we're standing on the clamp. This is carpet. So the clamp is underneath of us, and it's basically an upside down stairs facing a right side upstairs. So they're basically clamshelled together, kind of like a terrain. Anyways, there's a fuel tank, and here's the thruster. It only needs enough thrust to push it off of the ship. That's all it needs it for. You're not going to be piloting this thing or landing it. You know, once it's off the ship, it's pretty much just a lifeboat. It ain't going nowhere else. But if we need to, we've got some extra room here and there, again, underneath of it. And these, what the hell? Some of these rooms could be utilized for stuff as well. I love this carpet, by the way. View screen, maintenance. Another little room right here. Another big lounge right here. Fly on out of here. Anyways, that's pretty much what's going on with the Enterprise D build. I do appreciate you taking time to watch. If you hit that like button for me, I greatly appreciate it. And again, this is the Minetrek.net game server, and have a great day. Bye-bye.